Hello, and welcome back to another episode on the Next Level Her podcast, where we talk about real journeys, real growth, and the real you. So, we are winding down on Knowing God, Becoming You series, where we are learning who God is so we can become who we were created to be. I'm your girl, Pauline, and this journey has taken us deep into the heart and character of God, which has been so amazing. I hope you guys have been enjoying this series. And I want to first start off by apologizing for my voice because I am under the weather, under, over, either way. I can't wait to be done with this. Okay. So, this is why you hear that raspy type voice. But yeah, so we've gone through God's love. God is faithful. God is provider, healer, peace, wisdom, father. And the last one we did was God is creator, the source of divine creativity. And so today we're stepping into a truth that frees many of us from silent shame, okay? God is redeemer. I love this. This episode is for the woman who replays her past over and over again, who regrets decisions that they've made, whether good or bad, questions her timeline, her journey, or maybe feels behind or feel lost. Maybe you're wondering if you've missed your moment, or maybe you've been struggling with shame or guilt and feel like, or maybe you might feel like your story is disqualified or it doesn't count. So, this is for you. Let's talk about redemption. What redemption really is, okay? In Isaiah 43:1, it says, "Do not fear, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You are mine." Listen, to redeem means to restore, to reclaim, to buy back, to rescue, to repurpose, or even to give new value. Redemption doesn't erase the past, it transforms its meaning. And that's the beautiful thing. A lot of people tend to be ashamed or regret their past. But to be honest, your past is what has gotten you to this place now. Your past is what has shaped who you are. And we can't discount that. And we don't want to erase that because we don't want to erase the character we've built, the person we've become, the lessons we've learned. We don't want to erase that. So redemption, it is transforming its meaning. God doesn't deny your story. He embraces it and he reframes it. He doesn't waste pain. He redeems it. Okay? So sometimes we struggle to receive redemption because many of us believe in forgiveness, but we struggle with redemption because redemption means letting go of shame, releasing self punishment, even forgiving yourself. So, some of us, because we're still having a hard time forgiving ourselves, sometimes we can feel like I should have known better, or maybe you feel like you wasted time. Maybe you'll say something like, I made the wrong decision. I messed up too much. I delayed my calling, or I missed my calling, or I failed. And, but hear this clearly, God is not bound by your timeline, He is not limited by your mistakes, and He is not confused by your detours. As a matter of fact, He knew all of this was going to happen before you even existed. Nothing catches him off guard. It may catch us off guard, but it doesn't catch him off guard. And the fact that he knew all of this before we existed and still choose to redeem us, even when we feel like we've made mistakes or we feel like we've fallen short. But to be honest, it's all a part of our journey and it's all a part of who we are and how we were designed to be. Redemption is God's response to imperfection. God doesn't wait for a perfect past to use you. He's not looking for perfection. The Bible says He came to seek and save the lost and to give us life to the full. In order to be found by him, we would have been lost, right? So he comes, you know, and find us and give us life to the full. Some of the most powerful people in scripture, when you look at their stories, they have had broken beginnings, made wrong choices, doubted themselves, ran from God, failed publicly, started late, and he still used those people and he still redeemed their stories. He used it for his glory. And why is that? It's because redemption is not about your performance. Do you hear that? Do you understand that? When you focus on your performance, of course, you're going to question your redemption. But your redemption is not about your performance, it's about his power. It's about how he used your story and turns it around to bring glory to him. Your past becomes a platform when he redeems you. So this is why he can take our past, regardless of how we feel about it, and use it to his power because it's not about your performance, it's not about how you feel, but he knows because he knows everything even before you were created. He knows that he's going to redeem us and he knows that he's going to use our story and that our past, our story does not fall on faint ears and that he's going to use it. What God does with your past. Let's look at that. God doesn't just forgive, he transforms. Here's what he does. He removes shame, okay? Shame loses its voice when redemption enters. He reframes your story. What you saw as failure, God uses as formation. It was in the plan all along. It was a part of it. So if you start feeling like, oh man, I failed, no, your story is still being written. There's still more to it. So keep going, regardless of how you feel about your story. He restores lost time. God multiplies what feels delayed. He builds empathy. Your pain becomes compassion, right? He increases authority. What you survived becomes testimony. So we have to be able to see that when we're going through difficult times, there's a bigger plan on the other side. And a lot of times when we go through things, it's not just for us. And that is why our stories become testimonies because it is for someone else, not for us. It's for someone else. And the thing is, he repositions you. Redemption moves you into purpose. Your story is not disqualified, it is qualified. He uses your story to qualify you, even if you feel like you're not qualified. Look at Moses. Moses felt all type of things. He didn't feel qualified, but God used his story to qualify him. And so when we look back at our story, don't look back at it in a shameful way. Don't look back with regret. Look forward with hope, knowing that you have been redeemed and that God is not even done with you. Stop identifying with the unredeemed version of you. You left that behind. This is important, okay? Some women still live as the unredeemed version of themselves, apologizing for who they used to be. Baby, don't apologize. No. Who you used to be was necessary to build the current you. Sometimes we start shrinking because of past mistakes, withholding your voice, avoiding visibility, doubting your worth because of your past. Do not let that version take over because you have been transformed. You have been redeemed. And God doesn't relate to you based on your past. He relates to you based on who you're becoming. The whole purpose of this podcast because we are constantly becoming. And if we get stuck in the past us or even the current us, we can lose sight of what God is trying to do in our lives. If God has redeemed you, you don't need to punish yourself. Okay? Shame says you are your past. Redemption says your past serves your purpose. So here's what modeling God's redeeming nature as, for us look like. When you model God's redemptive nature, you create space for others to heal. Here's what that looks like. You extend grace, and that means extending grace to yourself as well. You don't weaponize people's past. You honor growth over perfection. You see potential, not labels. You speak life into broken places because you've been there and you understand. You live forward and not backwards. A redeemed woman walks with humility and confidence. I read this quote in a book. The book is called Make Life Good by Dr. Randy Ross. And the quote says, "Your life is a gift to the world, but a life wrapped in itself makes a very small package." I love that because it helps us to understand that the focus isn't on ourselves. You are already the gift. Your story, your past, your journey, it's a gift. It is a gift to the world. That is your testimony. Your story, your journey, your past, it's a testimony, and you give that to the world because it's going to impact others. But a life wrapped up in itself makes a very small package. Happens when we start not forgiving ourselves, when we start living in guilt, when we start, going through the whole woe is me, and we start shrinking and keeping to ourselves because we're letting guilt hold us back when we should be sharing our story, when we should be sharing our gift with the world. So here are some redemption practices that you can focus on this week. Write down one part of your past you're still carrying shame around. And I want you to really look at that story, right? Look at that past that you're holding around. How can God use you in that moment? Or how can God use that story? How can you change it around and make it your testimony? Because whatever you're holding on to, I want you to heal from it. But know that once you heal from it, somebody is waiting for you to help them so they too can heal. Everything connects, you guys, everything, even our stories. Our stories are connections to other people. Another thing is ask God, how have you already redeemed this? Look at your story. How have God already redeemed this? Release self blame, release guilt, okay? Speak truth over that season because you've been speaking a whole lot of lies to that season, but I want you to turn it around and start speaking truth over that season. And then thank God for how He's using it now. Because the truth is, God is already using it, but you don't see it because you've been thinking about it with a different perspective. When you change your lens, when you stop wrapping that gift on the inside of you, and when you start seeing how you can be a gift to others, your perspective will change. Redemption becomes real when shame is released. Okay. So here are some things I want you to reflect on over this week, even the following week. Okay. What part of my past am I still identifying with? Where have I delayed purpose because of shame? What would change if I believe my past had purpose? And how can my story serve others? I want you to let God transform your perspective because it literally starts with a perspective shift. When we start thinking about how can God use this? Who needs my help? Who needs me? Yes, you want to take care of yourself, but trust me, sometimes a part of taking care of yourself is a part of taking care of others. Sometimes the thing that we need healed or the thing we need restored won't get healed until we start thinking outwardly instead of inward. All right, so as we close this episode today, remember this: you are not disqualified. Your journey is not disqualified. Your story is not disqualified, okay? You are not defined by your mistake because let's be honest, your journey, your past, your story is not a mistake. And most of all, you are not a mistake. You are redeemed, okay? God is redeemer, and redemption turns your story into strength. So I hope this episode has helped you let go of some things in the past, has encouraged you to move forward and to see yourself as a gift, okay? Because you are a gift, all right? So thank you so much for joining me on Knowing God, Becoming You series. Please share this episode with anyone who's feeling like they are not a gift, who's living in guilt, who is living in shame. Please share this episode with them so that they'll be encouraged and that they can start changing their lens. All right. So for our next episode and our last episode, as we close this series with the Knowing God, Becoming You series, the last episode we're going to get into is God is near, the power of intimacy and identity. So I look forward to sharing that episode with you guys. Until then, real journeys, real growth, and the real you. Keep being a gift to the world because you are. Okay? Talk soon.